Hi, I am Jan and welcome to the mini-series covering up the basics of using Git. This is the first part, where I will answer questions such as what is Git, what is it used for, why would you use it, how does it work and how to use it. I will walk you through creating a repository on GitHub and teach you the three most important Git commands, which are add, commit and push. At the end of this video, you will be able to put your code on GitHub to backup it and access it from anywhere. And a quick note, you don't have to worry about compatibility. We will be using Git in CLI, so it doesn't matter if you are on Windows, Mac or Linux, nor what IDE you use. VS Code, Eclipse, IntelliJ IDEA, Android Studio, it just doesn't matter. And lastly, you can find the written version of this video under this link. Git is a distributed version control system, a tool for managing source code, versioning it, and making it possible for developers to cooperate on one common codebase. It is totally free, open source, and it was created by Linus Torvalds, that guy who made Linux. Nowadays, pretty much everyone uses it, from tech giants and corporates such as Google or Microsoft, all the way through medium-sized IT companies to small communities and developers working on their own private projects. So why is Git so popular? Let me show you an example. Let's say you are at school working on a project. You write some code, but then the school ends and you have to go home. But you want to continue working from home. So what do? Zip the entire project and put it on Google Disk? Nah, that's lame. And let me show you another example. You are working on a project and you invite a friend of yours to join and help you. So you make a copy of the project and give it to him. Now, you make changes, he makes changes, and then you have two different versions that you need to put together. And Git, together with hosting service such as GitHub, Azure DevOps or GitLab, will handle this painful stuff for you. First, you need a server for where your code will be. We will use GitHub since that one is the most popular among developers and IT companies. On GitHub, we create a repository, like a storage where your code will be stored. So let's do that. So first, log in to GitHub and go to your profile page. If you don't know how, just click the icon on the top right corner and then click your profile. After that, you want to go to repositories and click new. Here, fill in whatever name you want, and you can also enter a description. Make sure you make the repository private and then click create repository. So now the repository has been successfully created. So just make sure you have the HTTPS type of link selected and click the copy link button. Now, before we do anything, we need to check if you have Git installed. So by typing Git in a command line or terminal, if you get an output like this, that means that you have Git installed. If you don't, check out this link for a great guide on how to install Git. The first command that we are going to use is git clone. With git clone, you can clone a repository from a remote server. So type in git clone, followed with the HTTPS link of your repository, the repository that you have created a few moments ago. You will get prompted for a username, so fill that one in, and then you will get prompted for a password. When working with GitHub, we don't actually use a password for authentication in Git CLI. Instead, for a security reasons, we use the personal access token. By now, we don't have any tokens, so let's go create one. Go to Settings and here, select Developer Settings. Then click on Personal Access Tokens, Generate New Token. You can give it a name and then set an expiration. I usually leave that one on the default 1 month, and for scopes, select Repo. That means that when using this token, you will be allowed to use the basic commands that are needed when working in CLI, which is exactly what we need. Click on Generate Token and then, there it is. Make sure you copy it and save it somewhere safe, maybe in a password manager. You won't be able to display it like this again. In case you forget it or lose it, you will have to generate a new one. So let's paste it here instead of a password, hit enter, and we are done cloning the repository from a remote server to our local computer. A folder containing the repository has been created by default, so let's cd into it. I've opened the project in VS Code, created a file and wrote some code, pretending to be doing some real work. Now I'm done, so let's do our first push. With git status, you can get a brief overview of the state of your local repository. You can see that it tells us that a new file, main.dart, has been created. Now, GitHub doesn't know what to do with that file, so let's fix that. Type git add followed with flag uppercase A short for all, and that will tell Git to add everything that changed into a new commit. Think of it as putting all changes into a box called change stuff. Finally, we can use git commit followed with a message explaining what we did in that change set. You can think of it as closing the box with change stuff, marking it ready to be shipped, and attaching a letter explaining what's inside. Make sure the commit message is not more than 50 characters long. Making it longer wouldn't break anything, but keeping it below 50 is kind of a spoken rule among developers. We can again check the status with git status. We can see that there is a commit ready, like a box waiting to be shipped. So let's ship it with git push. We are now sending the commit from our local computer to the remote server, so we have to authenticate ourselves. That's gonna be the same like when we cloned the repo, so let's just again enter a username and our token instead of a password. Hit enter and it is done. GitHub will now receive the package, open it, compare the states and synchronize all files with the current state that it is in. It will also create a copy of the previous state of the whole repository, so when you on accident push some bad code, maybe including a bug that breaks everything, you can always look in the history of commits and revert changes to whatever was the last commit that worked fine. We can now go to GitHub, and after refreshing the page, you can see the main.dart. The file that I've created is now safely on GitHub, and I can access it from anywhere I want. You can also click here on the commit message to review that commit and see what it contains. You can see that the commit with message edit main.dart has one changed file which has 3 added rows. By now, you should know how to create a repository, how to make a commit and add changes to it, and how to push that commit to your repository. Everything you've seen in this video is basic stuff, but it belongs between some of the most important things you need to know to use Git. In the next video, I will show you one of the main uses of Git in the real world, which is cooperating with others on the same project. Thank you for watching and stay safe.